white image. Me with a white image. All right. This is much better than regular Zoom. Okay, anyway, we'll do this at least for the first portion. Hold on a second. Let me send a message out that we're online. And I'll check it out. Yeah. So on Facebook, this is all they see. I don't know if all you can see this. Yeah, you can see it. All they see is just like a white image of me talking. But so if you really want to be in the classroom, you got to join Zoom. Okay, let's have some music. Hold on a second. I thought Jagat was going to be in our classroom too, but he's not participating. He's just the old style. So again, oh, there he goes. So again, anybody who wants to join the classroom must get the latest edition of Zoom, or else you're just not going to be in the classroom environment. Oh, that's good. All right, so we'll add people to the classroom. All right, here we go. Let's see what song we get to sing tonight. We're having so much fun with Zoom that I forgot to pick a song. So let's pick a song. This is good. Arunadaya Kirtan, Part 1. Sanaranga Charanenu Purabashe Mukuna Madhava Yadavanari Inaporo Levanapore Micheli Davashe Kelarate Divashasarira Shange Hey Manadurava Manavadeho Ayaki Korobaba Nakeho Bina Vajaleya Shoda Sutta Jamate Porivela Jay Tapana oile asta Tina Kela lo boy le oi be basta na be ke no e be alla sai na pa jare do ya je jivana teja jana sa Dakinana vida vipada pa Shaya kori jana tumi Kakapana kaje Jivera kaya nasara nakam Shaka de ase Timira tapana rupe rikagane viraje Krishna namashuda kuriyapan juraya pakati vinoda pran namavena kichununa ara shona bovana Makata samuha laila sate Jona bhavana Kela naga, sorry Kela naga ramashe Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Bhakta, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Haribo, 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 Nichago, Haribo. Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Okay. Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Paravacharya, all Sutta, Sutashi, Shima, His Divine Grace. Abhaya Chananana, Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sidvaita Gadadha Shiva Sati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Sayam Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Mathuram Ki Jai. Jagannatha Swami Ki Jai. Yamunamai Ki Jai. Srimati Lalasi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. Okay, we got a full classroom here, so it's good to see everybody in the classroom. Sita, I'll put you next to your sister right here in the classroom. Okay, so now we're going to have, I really like this setup. Much better than a normal Zoom setup. Anyway, so now we are going to have our reading of Caitanya Caritamrta. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nivashesha Shunyabadi Paschatya Dejatarani. So Om Ganati Mirandasha Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. And now we're going to go ahead and share the screen, and we'll go back to the normal view of sharing the screen. So, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, so we're on the 50th text of the second chapter of the Madhya Lila, and this chapter is quite short compared to the other chapters. And this chapter is dealing with the final pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, in Jagannath Puri. So, in these pastimes, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was manifesting Divyonmada, which means transcendental madness, transcendental ecstasy. So now we're going to read about Lord Chaitanya's transcendental ecstasy, transcendental madness, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, and we'll read about his associates too in this verse and some of the other verses. E mata dine dine swarupa ramananda sane nija bhava karena vidita vaye visha jwala haya pitarayananda maya Krishna premara adbhuta chatata. In this way, Lord Chaitanya used to revel in ecstasy day after day and exhibit these ecstasies before Swarupa and Ramananda Roy. Externally, they appeared severe tribulation, as if he were suffering from poisonous effects, but internally he was experiencing bliss. This is the characteristic of transcendental love of Krishna. And that's what I mentioned before, that even the suffering of a pure devotee is bliss. E prema svadana tapte ikshu charvana mukha dwale nahayaya tyajana se prema yanramane, tara vikrama se jane, vishamrite katra milana. If one tastes such love of Godhead, he can compare it to hot sugar cane. When one chews hot sugar cane, his mouth burns, yet he cannot give it up. Similarly, if one has but a little love of Godhead, he can perceive its powerful effects. It can only be compared to poison and nectar mixed together. Vidabir navakala kuta katuka garvasya nirasano nishandena mudam sudha madurima hankara sankochanaha prema sundari nanda nandana paro jagarti yashantate nyayante sputam ashivakra madhuraste naiva vikrantaya. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke, "My dear friend, if one develops love of Godhead, love of Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, all the bitter and sweet influences of this love will manifest in one's heart. Such love of Godhead acts in two ways. The poisonous effects of love of Godhead defeat the severe and fresh poison of the serpent. Yet there is simultaneously transcendental bliss, which pours down and defeats the pride of nectar and diminishes its value." In other words, love of Krishna is so powerful that it simultaneously defeats the poisonous effects of a snake as well as the happiness derived from pouring nectar on one's head. It is perceived as doubly effective, simultaneously poisonous, and nectarian. This verse is spoken by Purnamasi to Nandi Mukhi in the Vidagna Madhava 2:18 of Srila Rupa Goswami. So what this means basically is that if one experiences extreme love, or let's say attachment in this world, it's painful. It actually gives you pain. Even if you're attached to something mundane, let's say you're attached to, no, let's not even talk about romantic love right now. Forget about romantic love. Let's say you're attached to, let's say, a car. It's painful. It's really painful, your attachment, because then you're putting anxiety about it, you're thinking about it 24 hours a day, and that pain in the material world doesn't give you any happiness. But in the spiritual realm, when you're attached to Krishna in an intense way, it's extremely painful, especially when Krishna is not with you, or even when Krishna is with you. Why is it painful when Krishna is with you? Because you're thinking, when is he going to go away? In the Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Sanatana Goswami, Krishna is asked, why didn't you go back to Vrindavan? And Krishna answers, he says, the reason I didn't go back to Vrindavan, he said, I understand my not being there is causing the gopis pain. But he said, if I go back to Vrindavan, it will cause the gopis more pain. Because there'll be an anxiety about when I'm going away or leaving. So either way, it's pain. When Krishna is with you, it's pain. And when Krishna is not with you, it's pain. And when Krishna is almost with you, Purva Rag, it's pain. Anyway, you get the idea, because love is so intense. In this world, one may get a brief glimpse of it, not in relationship to Krishna, but in relationship to material objects. But then it just doesn't continue. But for a pure devotee, that love is so intense that it continues 24 hours a day. And it's simultaneously painful and nectarian. And that's what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is describing now. This is a real inner glimpse into the consciousness of pure devotees, and into the consciousness of Lord Chaitanya, into the consciousness of Srimati Radharani. Just the glimpse we're getting of the intensity of love. Just like if any of you have experienced intense hankering or intense love or intense lamentation, magnify that by 10 billion times, and then you still won't understand the intensity of love that a pure devotee, or Lord Chaitanya is experiencing for Krishna, or Radharani is experiencing for Krishna, or a pure devotee is experiencing for Krishna, or a pure devotee is experiencing for other pure devotees for his spiritual master. It's really intense. And that's what we're hearing about now. Try to appreciate that. I mean, right now, it's not so intense because as we read the previous Bhagavatam verses yesterday, whenever we chant the holy names, we don't have tears coming to our eyes or hair standing on end. Our heart is certainly steel framed according to the Srimad Bhagavatam. If we actually love Krishna, first of all, as Lord Chaitanya said, it would be hard to maintain or impossible to maintain our lives. And secondly, at least we would experience some symptoms. But basically, we experience the symptom of boredom. If we're chanting the holy name, we're thinking, when will I finish my rounds? Or if we're attending Bhagavatam class, when will it be over so I can get to my real life of eating prasadam? So can you imagine eating prasadam, being very hungry, because you have to be hungry to enjoy prasadam, but being very hungry, intensely hungry all the time, getting your favorite prasadam, and being able to eat without stoppage. And that's the ecstasy you experience. Anyway. Ye kali deke Jagannatha Shri Rama Subhadra Sata Tabe Jane Ailama Kurukshetra Sapala Haila Jivana Dekilun Padma Lochana Judaila Tanu Mana Netra. Pretty interesting. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would see Jagannath along with Balaram and Subhadra, he would immediately think that he had reached Kurukshetra, where all of them had come. He would think that his life was successful because he had seen the lotus-eyed one and thus pacified his body, mind, and eyes. So, of course, that's in relationship to the gopis and the other residents of Vrindavan coming to Kurukshetra during the time of an eclipse and seeing Krishna for the first time in like 100 years. Guru Tera Sanidane Rahikare Darashane Sehanandera Ki Kahiba Bale Garuda Stambera Tale Ache Eka Nimna Kale Se Kalavarila Ashrujale. Stay near the Garuda Stamba. The Lord would look upon Lord Jagannath. What can be said about the strength of that love? On the ground beneath the column of the Garuda Stamba was a deep ditch, and that ditch was filled with the water of his tears. And Prabhupada explains, in front of the temple of Jagannath is a column on which the statue of Garuda is situated. It is called the Garuda Stamba. At the base of that column is a ditch, and that ditch was filled with the tears of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya would hold on to that Garuda Stamba, I guess so he wouldn't collapse again, like he did the first time he went to see the temple of Lord Jagannath. And there's that interesting story which I told before about that old lady who climbed up on top of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as he was holding the Garuda Stamba. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu basically praised the old lady after his servant tried to get rid of the old lady. And Lord Chaitanya criticized his servant for trying to get rid of the old lady. He said, I very much appreciate the old lady's loyal, intense hankering to see Lord Jagannath. And even Lord Chaitanya's fingerprints are on that Garuda Stamba. If you go there into the temple today, you could see Lord Chaitanya's fingerprints. Of course, I have not seen, because they would not let me into the temple to see Lord Jagannath. And very unfortunate. But I am allowed in ISKCON temples where I can see Lord Jagannath, the same Lord Jagannath. There is no difference. Tahan haite gare asi, matira upare vasi, nake kare prithvi likana, ha ha kahan vrindavana, kahan gopendra nandana, kahan sevam shivadana. After returning to his house from the Jagannath temple, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to sit on the ground and mark it with his nails. At such time he would be greatly morose and would cry, "Alas, where is Vrindavan? Where is Krishna, the son of the king of the coward men? Where is that person who plays the flute?" Of course, that's an intense mood of separation. And really, that's like the gopis. They would sort of paw the ground, both with their feet and their hands, feeling separation from Krishna. It's a symptom of feeling separation from Krishna. And sometimes you see ladies do that. They just like put their foot on the ground, especially if there's sand or something like that, and just paw it like that with their foot. Of course, paw with the foot, yeah, I guess it's the same thing. And that's a sign of love and ecstasy. Kahan se tribanga tama, kahan se venugana, kahan se yamuna pulina, kahan se rasa vilasa, kahan richa gita hasa, kahan prabhu madan mohana. These are beautiful poetic verses. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to lament by saying, "Where is Sri Krishna, whose form is curved in 3 places? Where's the sweet song of his flute, and where's the bank of the Yamuna? Where's the rasa dance? Where's that dancing, singing, and laughing? Where is my Lord, Madana Mohan, the enchanter of Cupid?" And actually, this is the mood the devotees should cultivate as they're serving Krishna. In other words, as you're doing your service, especially as you're preaching, Prabhupada said the preaching of Krishna consciousness is done in the mood of the gopis when they're experiencing separation from Krishna. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Shh. If you feel like that, you will never, never be in Maya. Utilanana bhagat abhavavega manehaila udvega shana matra nari gunaite aprabhala virahanale darya hoila talamale nana shloka lagila vadite. In this way, various ecstatic emotions evolved in the mind of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, filled with anxiety. He could not escape even for a moment. In this way, because of fierce feelings of separation, his patience began to totter, and he began to recite various verses. So you can taste the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by reciting these verses, taking them into your heart. Amunya danyani dinataranani haritwara lokanam antarena anatabando karunaika sindho ha hanta katham diyami. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O friend of the helpless, you are the only ocean of mercy. Because I have not met you, my inauspicious days and nights have become unbearable. I do not know how I shall pass the time. And this is the verse from the Krishna Caritamrta, 41 by Bilva Mangal Thakur. Tomara darshana bine, adanya e ratradine, e kalana yaya katana, tumi anatera bandhu, apara karuna sindhu, kripakari deha darashana. All these inauspicious days and nights are not passing, for I have not met you. It is difficult to know how to pass all this time, but you are the friend of the helpless and an ocean of mercy. Kindly give me your audience, for I am in a precarious position. So this indicates the common psychological phenomena that when something is extremely miserable, extremely painful, time slows down. And when something is extremely ecstatic, you're having a good time, it's over like this. I remember, I don't know if I should use this example, a material example. One time I went with His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj to Disney World. Sorry about that. And while we were standing on line, the time was just like, oh, it was intolerable. But finally, when we got on the ride and had some fun, then the time went really quickly. Of course, that's a Maya example. You may say, what was I doing at Disney World with Caitanya Maharaj? Well, we were looking, trying to get some ideas about what can be done in Mayapur to make Mayapur, let's say, a place where people will come even for other reasons and eventually get Lord Chaitanya's association. Utila Baba Chapala Manahila Chanchala Baveragati Bhujana Nayaya Adarshane Podemana Kemane Padadarashana Krishna Tande Puchena Upaya. In this way, the Lord's restlessness was awakened by ecstatic feelings and his mind became agitated. No one could understand what course such ecstasy would take. Because Lord Chaitanya could not meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, his mind burned. He began to ask Krishna about the means by which he could reach him. Vachchaisavam tri bhuvanad bhutam mityavehi Matschapalam chatavavamama vadigamyam tatkim karomi viralam murali vilasi mukdam mukam bhujam mudikshitum ikshanabhyam. O Krishna, O flute player, the sweetness of your early age is wonderful within these three worlds. You know my unsteadiness, and I know yours. No one else knows about this. I want to see your beautiful, attractive face somewhere in a solitary place. But how can this be accomplished? This is another quote from the Krishna Caritamrta 32 of Bilvamangal Thakur. And for those of you who don't know Bilvamangal Thakur, his spiritual name is Lila Sukha. And just to give you all hope, previously he was very attached to a prostitute. And he was so attached to this prostitute that one day it was raining and pouring and cats and dogs, as they say, coming from the sky. And he had to see his girlfriend who was on the other side of the river. So he decided to cross the river in spite of the torrents of rain and the flooding and the snakes. So he tried to swim across the river. He grabbed what he thought was a log, was a dead body, climbed up the wall to her house, and actually used what he thought was a rope. It was a snake, and he finally got to her door, and he was completely disheveled. And disheveled means torn and bleeding. He knocks on the door to see if his girlfriend, Chintamani, is there, and she opens the door, and she's so shocked to see him. She says, Bilpamanga, if you had as much love for Krishna as you did for this dead body, you'd be a pure devotee by now. And then he took her as his guru and said, yes, Mayam, and went to Vrindavan. And one time more, he became attracted by another lady, and he didn't want to become attracted by the beauty of this mundane world anymore, so he actually put out his eyes. And then he went to Vrindavan, and Krishna personally took care of him. He would bring him food. He would hold his hand. And Bilvamangal Thakur composed the Krishna Caritamrta there. Amazing story. So there's hope for all of us. There's hope for all of us to overcome the attraction to things of this world. So Tamara Madhuri Bala Tate Mora Chapala Edwi Tumi Ami Jani Kahan Karon Kahan Jan Kahan Gele Tumapan Tahamore Kahata Apani. My dear Krishna, only you and I know the strength of your beautiful features, and because of them, my unsteadiness. Now, this is my position. I do not know what to do or where to go. Where can I find you? I'm asking you to give directions. Intense hankering. Where is Krishna? Like the Goswamis of Vrindavan. Hey Radhe Brajadevakaye. Hey Nanda Shuno Kutam. Where are you, Krishna? Where are you, Radharani? Where are my devotees? What is the greatest pain one can experience according to Lord Chaitanya's discussion with Ramananda Roy? Well, separation from the devotees. That's the greatest pain. Separation from Krishna and separation from Krishna's devotees. It's the most hellish punishment. And people who commit offenses get punished in that way. That's quite common. You'll see someone who has an attraction for devotional service, but they just can't be with devotees because they've committed offenses. Nana bhavera prabalya haila sandhi shabalya bhave bhave haila maharana ot sukya chapalya dainya roshamarsha harishanya premonada savara karana. Because of the various kinds of ecstasy, contradictory states of mind occurred, and this resulted in a great fight between different types of ecstasy. Anxiety, impudence, humility, anger, and impatience were all like soldiers fighting in the madness of love of Godhead was the cause. So let's describe this. Like anxiety. Anxiety, and you're anxious about something that might happen or might not happen. You're thinking, I want Krishna, but he may not come. Impudence. Impudence means like pride. Krishna, you have to come. Why aren't you coming? Humility. But I'm not really qualified. And then anger, which goes along with impudence. Angry at Krishna, angry at myself. Why am I so fallen that I can't see Krishna? I can't control my senses. And impatience. I must have it now. Krishna, where are you? Now, now, now. Like a little kid. Gimme, gimme, gimme. So all these got mixed together in sort of an interesting combination. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is stated that when similar ecstasies from separate causes meet, they are called sarup sandhi. It means a combination of one's form or one's nature. When opposing elements meet, whether they arise from a common cause or different causes, their conjunction is called bina, that means different, rupa sandhi, different from the combination of one's self. The meeting of contradictory ecstasies. The simultaneous joining of different ecstasies, fear and happiness, regret and happiness, is called meeting, sandhi. Sandhi means meeting. The word shabalya refers to different types of ecstatic symptoms combined together, like pride, despondency, humility, remembrance, doubt, and patience, caused by insult, fear, disappointment, patience, and eagerness. Wow. And I think I described that before. One feels insulted because Krishna's not there. You're afraid Krishna's not going to come. You're disappointed, but you're willing to wait, and you're still eager. So you got eagerness and impatience, actually, are an interesting mix. The friction, but it's the friction that occurs when these combine is called sapalya. Similarly, when the desire to see the object is very prominent, or when one is unable to tolerate any delay in seeing the desired object, the incapability is called otsukya, or eagerness. If such eagerness is present, one's mouth dries up, one becomes restless. One also becomes full of anxiety, and hard breathing and patience are observed. So there's patience. So you got all these contradictory things fighting for the control. These are the symptoms of love. Similarly, the lightness of heart caused by strong attachment and strong agitation of the mind is called impudence, chapalya. Failure of judgment, misuse of words, and obstinate activities devoid of anxiety are observed. Similarly, when one becomes too angry at the other party, Krishna, offensive and abominable speech occurs, and this anger is called rosha. When one becomes impatient due to being scolded or insulted, the resultant state of mind is called the marsha. In this state of mind, one perspires, acquires a headache, fades in bodily color, and experiences anxiety and an urge to search out the remedy. The bearing of a grudge, aversion, and chastisement are all visible symptoms. So what you're seeing here, without going to a complete analysis of these different symptoms, is that in the spiritual realm, all the feelings, manifestations, thoughts, anything you can have in this world are there. Who would ever understand that there were grudges, aversion, chastisement, anger, perspiration in the spiritual world, headaches in the spiritual world, changing your bodily colors, anxiety in the spiritual world? That's the spiritual world. It wouldn't be here if it wasn't there. But there it's all ecstasy. Because it's all symptoms of love. Even in this world, when one loves another person intensely for a short period of time, you can experience those contradictory ecstasies. It's not unheard of. I mean, they actually have love stories where these ecstasies are there. I mean, just look at Romeo and Juliet. They basically killed themselves out of love. So that's all perverted reflection of Radha and Krishna's love for each other. Matagaja babagana prabhura deha ikshuvana gaja hyude vanera dalana prabhura haila divyon mara tanu manera avasada bhavave shekari sambodhana. The body of the Lord was just like a field of sugarcane into which the mad elephants of ecstasy entered. There was a fight amongst the elephants, and in the process the entire field of sugarcane was destroyed. Thus transcendental madness was awakened in the body of the Lord, and he experienced despondency in mind and body. In this ecstatic condition, he began to speak as follows. And this is a very, very elevated subject matters. And we should pray to the Lord to allow us to hear these things without judgment and to enter into this bhakti ras. This is actually bhakti ras, intense emotions. It's not simply you're doing devotional service to go back to Godhead, you're doing devotional service to get liberated, you're doing devotional service to get knowledge, you're doing devotional service for this, reading that. You're just, anyway, absorbed in emotions. It's like an emotional roller coaster, like you see here. Hey Deva, hey Dayata, hey Bhuvanaika Bandho, hey Krishna, hey Chapala, hey Karunaika Sindho, hey Nata, hey Ramana, hey Nayana Bhirama, ha ha Kadanu, Bhavitasi Padam Drishorme. O my Lord, O dearest one, O only friend of the universe, O Krishna, O restless one, O only ocean of mercy, O my Lord, O my enjoyer, O beloved to my eyes, alas, when will you again be visible to me? This is the text 40 of the Krishna Caritamrta. Unmatera lakshana karya Krishna spurna bhavaveshe ute pranayamana sulonta vachana riti managarbha vyajastuti kabu ninda kabu vasamana. The symptoms of madness served as an impetus for remembering Krishna. The mood of ecstasy awoke love, disdain, defamation by words, pride, honor, and indirect prayer. Thus, Sri Krishna was sometimes blasphemed and sometimes honored. Just like you see in loving affairs in this material world, sometimes someone gets really angry with those whom they love the most. Sometimes they get so upset, disdain, they don't want to see the person. Sometimes they criticize them. You don't love me. I deserve better than this. Pride, honor. Please do this for me. Anyway, these are all different symptoms of love. The word unmada is explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu as extreme joy, misfortune, and bewilderment in the heart due to separation. The symptoms of umada are laughing like a madman, dancing, singing, performing ineffectual activities. In other words, doing things that actually have no purpose. Talking nonsense, running, shouting, and sometimes working in contradictory ways. The word pranaya is explained thus. When there is a possibility of receiving direct honor, but it is avoided, that love is called pranaya. Srila Rupa Goswami in his Ujjvala Nilamani explains the word mana thus: when the lover feels novel sweetness by exchanging hearty, loving words, but wishes to hide his feelings by crooked means, mana is experienced. That means when Radharani is getting angry at Krishna, but she actually loves Krishna, but she's getting angry, and she's trying to hide her feelings by her anger or man. And also that gives pleasure to Krishna. Krishna loves when Radharani gets angry. It gives him so much ecstasy because it spices up that relationship. He really tries his best to make her angry. He sometimes mentions the name of her competitor girlfriend, or Krishna's girlfriend, but her competitor, Chandravali. He sometimes says to her, your face is just like many moons. Your face is just like Chandravali. And she gets so angry. Other times, he says, your face is like a moon. And she's thinking, he's indicating there's some imperfection in my face because of the moon. There's spots. You what? You're saying that my face had spots in it? Ah! And Krishna's just enjoying like crazy. And then sometimes he has to bow down and beg for forgiveness. And he enjoys that like crazy too. These are the loving. If one hears about these loving affairs, then one's desire to enjoy them in one's material body, with some other material body, it becomes diminished. One is thinking, what is this material society, friendship, and love? The real nectar is Krishna's society, friendship, and love. Okay, another verse. Tumi deva krida ratta bhuvanera nariyata tahi karat abhishta kridana tumi mora dayita mote vaishe tumara chitta mora padye kaile agamana. Wow, this is so ecstatic. Can't stop. In the attitude of Radharani, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu addressed Krishna. My dear Lord, you were engaged in your pastimes and you utilized all the women in the universe according to your desire. You were so kind to me. Please divert your attention to me, for by fortune you have appeared before me. So that's prayers and humility, like that, and expectation and patience, etc. will be manifest there. Maybe one more verse. I don't know if I can stop. It's so nice. Bhuvanera narigana sabhakara akarshana tahankara samadana tumi Krishna chitahara ache kona pamara tomare vakeba kare mana. My dear Lord, you attract all the women of the universe and you make adjustments for all of them when they appear. You are Lord Krishna and you can enchant everyone, but on the whole you are nothing nothing but a debauchee who can honor you. So, here's some contradictory moods here. That you're so kind, she's appreciating Krishna, you can enchant everyone, but actually you're not faithful to anyone. It's a debauchee. So there's definitely some envy there, there's some anger there, there's some praise there. I mean, it's just these poems, if someone who's really expert were to analyze them, and I'm so sure the acharyas have, then there would be an ocean. You could write a whole book about each and every shloka here. Anyway, I think we have to take questions. We got up to 68. Let me just write this so I can keep track of it. That's 50 to 68. 50 to 68. Okay. All right, so enough ecstasy. Now we will subject ourselves to hearing questions from all of you. And let me unmute you so much ecstasy from hearing these things. I almost don't want to unmute you. I'm hearing from Prabhupada and hearing from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Why should I unmute you poor conditioned souls? You know, it's much nicer. Okay, I'm gonna just turn us into regular view, if that's all right, because some of you are not educated enough to join the classroom. Here we go. Here we go. Regular view. So, who has a question? No one.
Maharaj, I have question.
Oh, Pran Govinda.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Prabhupada.
All right. But you're just a coward boy. What can you understand of any of this stuff?
Nothing. I don't understand anything, Maharaj.
All right. So,
That's why I'm calling.
all right. So you have a question.
Maharaj, God is both great and sweet.
Yes.
When we hear the majestic aspect of Supreme Absolute, it evokes our submission. I see even within me, natural attraction to submit. And
Yeah.
when we hear sweetness, like you were reading, and this is like a very contrary, very transcendental sweetness, it evokes affection. Now, I don't see the symptom of submission arises by hearing this. What should we do?
Well, maybe you're not hearing it properly. Because when I hear it, I don't think that these are my emotions. I think these are Radharani's emotions, and I just want to serve Radharani. You understand? So it actually,
Yes.
or the devotee's emotions. So what it does, it makes me more submissive, more appreciative, and more awe and reverent of the devotees and Srimati Radharani.
Mm.
You know, it's definitely sweet. It's sweet, but the real impetus or the real, sorry, that's not an ecstatic symptom. That was just digestion. Anyway, so you know, sometimes people are blind. You know, if you burp, they think, "Wow, here's an ecstatic symptom." Or if I cough, it just or sneeze, that's an ecstatic symptom. It just maybe because there's too much pollen in the air here. So so when I hear these things, I just think, wow, I just want to become a servant of those devotees who feel like that, because I realize those aren't my feelings. You know, let's say if I get angry at Krishna, it's because he didn't do something for me material. Hey, Krishna, why didn't you get me that new computer that I really wanted? Krishna did. Why did you let, you know, sometimes people get angry because someone passed away of COVID or something like that. Oh, Krishna, angry because you let my father or whatever pass away due to COVID. So this is of a different category. Krishna is not our servant. Generally, we're thinking that Krishna is our servant. But we have to come to the point of understanding that what Gopi Bharata Padakamala Dasa Dasa Dasana Das, we're a servant of the Lord. So when I hear these things, I just start to appreciate the pure devotees and, of course, Radharani. It's sweet, but there's definitely like, wow, I ain't there. If I start to think, whoa, those are the emotions I felt this morning in Mangalarti, I got trouble in my spiritual life. You know.
That's a very sweet answer, Maharaj. That you, in the beginning, you said that you really evoked that your submission towards Srimati Radharani, and so that's very wonderful way of expressing. Thank you. I never thought about that way just directly, but I'll be thinking of serving you, who is serving there.
Yeah, but I
That's wonderful.
just like when I recite, "O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be 12 years or more." I'm thinking that's Radharani's mood, not mine. I'm thinking, "Oh Prasadam, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more." "Oh, I'm tired, sleeping," is feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment 12 years.
Maharaj, since you're bringing that point, can I ask you a question? Like, if I'm sure you, somebody already asked you probably, when a disciple of you or somebody young just got getting married or trying to get into life of conjugal whatever, and they say that every day morning they have to recite na dhanam na janam na sundarim. How do you explain them to relevant to their life? It seems like this is nothing to do with their.
You want me to make a joke?
Sure.
Okay. When they say the Sundarim, they can see their wife is not that attractive, so they don't want Sundarim. Yeah, you asked for humor first. Anyway,
Maharaj, you're hilarious. I hope you don't say that. I mean, I don't.
you're saying they're thinking, I definitely didn't get Sundari in here. Anyway, so that's the joke part. But seriously, the point is it evokes a mood the same as the verses we read today. It should evoke a mood of appreciation for advanced devotees and for Radharani
Hmm.
and for the spiritual realm. When I hear about these spiritual emotions, I just like, wow, they're so high, and anyone who experiences even 1/10,000th of those spiritual emotions, I just worship them,
Hmm.
like Prabhupada. Like when we saw Prabhupada go into a trance, I didn't think that's far out. I didn't think like that. I just thought, wow, he's so great.
Hmm.
So it evoked more of a mood of awe and reverence towards Prabhupada when I saw Prabhupada's ecstasy. When I would sit behind Prabhupada during class, he was in the Vyasa, I would stand behind the Vyasa. There's some pictures of me doing that. And I would watch the tears coming from Prabhupada's eyes. I just thought, he's so great. And I have no love for Krishna. And
Hmm.
my dear Krishna, let me just like serve this great personality. When I saw Prabhupada's compassion, I just thought I want to serve this person.
Hmm.
I want to be like him, but I want to serve him. So when I see this greatness of the devotees, or Lord Chaitanya, for example, you see these emotions coming from Lord Chaitanya. It's not just that Lord Chaitanya danced and chanted and got everybody to chant the holy names, but there is so much internally going on, such a rich world going on. It's just also an impetus for me to want that rich world for myself.
Hmm.
An impetus to me to think that this material world is not so rich in feelings. We have some feelings of happiness, I'm sad, I'm glad, I'm mad. We have some feelings, but it's not like colors. It's just like if you're in a place and only there's like three colors, it gets boring after a while. But when you see a rainbow with all the colors in the spectrum, then it becomes very attractive. So Krishna's pastimes and the intensity of the emotions and the mixtures of the emotions in Krishna's pastimes are so attractive that everything in this world is pale in comparison.
Hmm.
All the things that I could enjoy in this world. Like someone told me the other day that they like to go bungee jumping. You know, what's the enjoyment? Did you think about it compared to all these emotional ecstasies? What's the enjoyment of jumping off a building and having a rubber band attached to your foot? And there's no enjoyment. Or eating something that's tasty. Vacho vegam, manasakrota vegam, jiva vegam. I mean, this is much tastier. It's like Prabhupada said when Prabhupada was given boiled vegetables. He said, "Let the starvation committee go to hell." So the material world is like the starvation committee. You understand what I'm talking about? It's just
Yes,
it's
yes,
boiled vegetables without any spices. And we're accustomed to that, and we think these boiled vegetables without spices are delicious, right? I mean, just like before I
yes.
joined the movement, I was a vegetarian. But all I knew how to cook was just boiled broccoli or something like that and spaghetti. You understand? It was all right. I lived, I was happy. But then I walked in the Hare Krishna movement, and there were cauliflower pakoras cooked in ghee and halwas, wheat rice, and what else? I can't think of anything else. I mean, there's so many things. Puris with powdered sugar on them. And it's just like, wow, this is real life. Of course, now I'm back to eating boiled vegetables, but I gave up my real life of eating, and now I'm back to just eating boiled vegetables. But that's for different reasons. But the comparison, the reason I'm making that comparison, I mean, it's like that. You're just getting some like old boiled, spoiled vegetables, and you're thinking this is delicious. When in fact,
Mm.
there's spicy food available in the spiritual realm. This is a metaphor, of course. So this is what I hear. I hear these spicy things going on in the spiritual world. And I said, I want to taste that too. And then I understand that in order to taste that, I have to serve Prabhupada. There ain't no other way. If I try to taste it directly, I'll never be able to taste it. But if I serve Prabhupada, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai, Bhakti Lata Beach, then I get that mercy. So that's why I'm dedicated to serving Prabhupada, because that's how to achieve success. Yasha Prasada Bhagavad Prasado Yasha Prasada Nagati Katopi. Okay, there's time for one other question. I want to get let's Sita ask a question. She's from Australia. Okay, Sita, you can ask a question.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. So I don't have a question, but we
You have
need
your
your
website.
mercy. Maharaj, we are going to Rockhampton. It's 7 hours drive. They have opened a new temple there. It's not
Oh,
Isakon temple, but our friends have asked us to come and preach, do some preaching and kirtan. We need your blessings, Maharaj.
yes,
Ram
you have my
Vijay is
blessing.
also Ram Vijay is also like
Hi, Krishna
Hare Krishna
Ramijay.
Maharaj. Danvat Pranam.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. Try to chant. If you have any Prabhupada's books, you can try to give out some of Prabhupada's books there. That would be
yes.
nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Gurudev. Hare
I hope you
Krishna.
go to Australia soon.
Yes, we really miss you.
As soon as they open up the borders, I will come to Australia.
Yes, Gurudev. Please send your
Haribol.
blessings.
Haribol. Haribol. Okay, so it's time for someone else's questions. Who else wants to ask a question? Someone else must have a question. Eeny,
If no
meeny.
one has, I have.
All right. everybody, everybody, everybody enjoys the interaction between me and you so much they don't want to ask a question because it's so
I
hilarious.
feel. I feel bad.
So all right. So what's the question?
Maharaj, You have made a wonderful analogy on Billamangal Thakur, since we read many verses of Krishna Karnamrita. This blindness from within that urges came for him to progress. Chintamani was just an instigator, was not a companion. So obviously he had, what was the impetus within him that we can develop that will urge us or push us to go to the final surrender?
The impetus is to love Krishna. He really, first of all, he's not an ordinary personality. It's not. Chintamani was simply waking up what was already there. So his impetus was actually just to love Krishna. He was already in love for Krishna, and there was just this impediment that had to be removed, his lust. So, Somagiri was his spiritual master. Somagiri, yeah, that's his spiritual master's name. His actual initiating spiritual master's name.
He was also impersonalist, somebody mentioned that.
He was also what?
Impersonalist in the beginning.
In the beginning, and then he became a personalist. Yeah, that's true. Bilvamangal Thakur was an impersonalist in the beginning, and then he became a personalist. It's something like the Atmaramas cha munio nigranta piyo rukrame kurvantiya haitaki bhakti atambuta gunahari. That if one is self-satisfied, they are still attracted to the transcendental name, quality, and forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Bilvamangal Thakur became attracted like Shukadeva Goswami or the Chatushana, the four Kumaras. And so he basically heard the holy name. Also, Chintamani was not just like an ordinary girl. His spiritual master used Chintamani to speak through. For example, one spiritual master, even if the spiritual master is not present, a spiritual master can speak through the mouth of someone else. It's really interesting. Either through a godbrother or speak through the mouth of someone who's not even a devotee. Just like you have the story of Tulsidas. You know the story of Tulsidas?
Mm-hmm.
The author of the Ramacharita Manasas. He was in love with his wife. And he was running a store, a cloth store. And what happened is that whenever anyone wanted to buy some nice cloth, he couldn't sell it because he gave it to his wife. But his wife wanted the money, not the cloth. And so she got really upset with him. And basically said the same thing that Chintamani said. And he felt so pained in his heart that he didn't like women after that point. He said actually Tulsidas said many nasty things about women too, but that's another subject matter. Anyway, Tulsidas left home, and then actually it's very similar to the story of Tukaram. Tukaram didn't leave home, but his wife was horrible. So finally, when it was time for Tukaram to go back to Godhead, he said to his wife, "You can come too, my dear." And she said, "No, I want to stay here." And he went back to Godhead. Anyway. But sometimes you have devotees with really good wives, like the Pandavas, like Lord Ram. There's so many good examples of good wives, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur's wives. They were first class. You understand? They were first class. So, there's examples.
But even Prabhupada said, Maharaj Prabhupada said even Draupadi felt that she had 5 husbands, but everybody left without her.
Everybody left without her?
At the last moment. The Yudhishthira
Well, in
Maharaj,
the Bhagavatam, in Mahabharata, they actually walked to the north and they all started dying one after the other. And she died, it's described in the Mahabharata, because she loved Arjuna more than the other ones. That was her fault. She was supposed to be equal. Bhimsen died because he ate too much. And Arjuna died because He made a promise to defeat his enemy in one day, and he didn't do it. And you had Nakula and Sahdev because one of them thought that they were the most handsome guy on the earth. They had pride. I think Nakula was very proud, so handsome. Anyway, all right, time to end. Thank you very much.